usual. Don't go near the office. Go to this address. Lose your phone. You have to disappear. 4 days. She had left the apartment only once in that time to buy bottles of water and some toiletries from the CVS 2 blocks away. After hours of watching rolling news coverage of the assassination, going outside had been a terrifying experience. She was constantly on edge, flinching when she caught the eye of someone smoking in a doorway, or when one of the other pedestrians veered a little too close to her on the sidewalk. On reaching the store, she immediately averted her eyes from the rack of newspapers, but not before she saw the senator's face smiling back from every one of the front pages. Almost as an afterthought, she had picked up a pack of Revlon black hair dye. 4 days of confinement to this tiny apartment, with its window looking out on a brick wall. 4 days of ordering takeout with the cheap cell phone he had left, paying with cash from the bundle in the closet. There were so many other preparations. IDs in 3 different names, cash in different currencies, a set of car keys, the gun. Who did that? What kind of person maintains an apartment ready for when they need to disappear? She had had 4 days to ponder that question now, and she kept coming back to one conclusion. She didn't know what kind of person did that, and that meant she really didn't know him, period. All she really knew was that he was involved somehow. He had called to warn her, so perhaps that meant he hadn't known exactly what was going to happen to the senator. But he was a part of it. That much was certain. Too late, she had realized how far her focus on career had taken her from a normal life, even before the man with inquisitive green eyes had walked into the foyer of Carlson's building all those weeks ago. Her parents were both gone. There had never been any siblings. Friends and acquaintances had gradually melted away since college, until the only people she ever talked to were work people. She wished there was somebody she could call. But then, even if there was, could she be sure she wouldn't be putting them in mortal danger? She had avoided coming to the decision at first. She had forced herself to try to think rationally, to wait for the anger to burn off. But it hadn't. It had only intensified. It was only in the last hour that she had made up her mind. That last time they talked would be the last time they would ever talk. She had thought she loved him. Now, she wasn't sure what she thought. But it didn't matter anymore. She took the last 2 bottles of water from the refrigerator and walked over to the coffee table where the canvas backpack was sitting. The pack was almost full. She put the bottles of water on top of the bundled-up shirts, which were stuffed on top of the nearly $5,000 in cash from the closet. One last time, she wondered about taking the gun. And one last time, she decided that it would be more of a burden than a benefit, given she had no firearms permit and no real idea of how to use it. She wondered if that would have to change. She zipped the pack closed and lifted it to the ground. In 2 strides, she crossed the floor to the breakfast counter that marked the boundary between the living room and the galley kitchen, and sat down on the wooden stool. There were only 3 items on the counter: a pen, sheet of notepaper, and an envelope. Over the last 4 days, Carol had written 100 letters to him in her mind. The message changed each time she went over it. Sometimes it was a few lines, sometimes several pages. There was so much she wanted to say. But now, sitting in front of the paper with pen in hand for the first time, her very last act in this apartment, it all seemed to become very simple. She took a breath and wrote the message. 4 words.